Hey people, welcome back to the stream. Hello Twitch TV, Boop Noodle. I missed you. You may be wondering what I'm doing today. Well, I have, in the words of great John Hammond, spared no expense. You hear that little jingling? You know what that is? Those are the knuckle bones of a velociraptor's foot. If you do not believe me, I will put up a picture of it in a second. But I have acquired some raptor toes. That's a lie, I didn't recently get them. But I have them, and I actually have a whole ass box of fossils right here that I'm going to be reconstructing over the next few weeks or maybe even months, because there's a ton of shit in there. Not all of it's super interesting. There's obviously just some stuff that isn't really that cool or generally just fun to reconstruct, because a lot of it is just like invertebrate things. But I'm gonna put up 2 pictures. 1 second. Sounds interesting. Oh, hello, Bubba Tete. Welcome to the stream. I'm showing off some of my fossils. Just give me a second. So, if I will just turn on my AirPlay. Give it a second. There we go. Sure. So here are 2 of my favorite fossils that I have in my fossil box. The one on the top is, as I mentioned before, the knuckle bones of a velociraptor. They are cast, so they're not actually a real fossil, but they're cast directly from a real fossil. And the one on the bottom is an actual shale imprint of a fish, which has a very long and complicated name that I will read to you right now. If you'll only give me a second. I definitely should have prepared for this. That is number 16. Well, it's from the Pliocene, and it's from China, but I'm not. It doesn't have an officially mentioned name, so we're just gonna leave it like that. These are basically have been accrued from museums that have taken them in and then done science stuff on them and then just not had a use for them. But we'll get back to those once it's time for the actual reconstruction. For now, it's time for warm-up sketches. And who better to do the warm-up sketches with than our favorite boy, Fuse. Let me just get a reference image up here. Actually, you know what? No, we're not going to do Fuse. What shall we do? I'm kind of feeling like Spinosaur, maybe. Spinosaurs have been my favorite sort of class of dinosaurs for a while because they're just so weird. And I think that weird factor has sort of petered out for me over the time that I've spent doing this, because the more you learn about dinosaurs, the less like mysterious they are, the less intriguing they are, I guess, but I never lost that feeling for Spinosaurs because they were always just so goddamn cool. And also, I do have a Spinosaur tooth in my fossil box, which we may or may not reconstruct. I am going to pull randomly, though, from the box. So, yeah, there's a significant chance that it won't be pulled up, but it's going to be a random pull. I have a checklist right here that has all the fossils numbered on it, so I can tell you exactly what it is. And I'll take a picture of it. I'll put it in. And, yeah. speaking of crocodilian things and all of that jazz, Deinosuchus is coming to the Isle. Obviously not incredibly soon, but it's a goal that's in reach, and the Isle has had a very stale meta for a while because there's only 5 dinosaurs that you can play as in the new branch. But they're adding 2 non-dinosaur creatures, which are Deinosuchus and Pteranodon. Which, yeah, I gotta say, I'm incredibly excited for that. Deinosuchus has been something that I want to play as for a while. And Path of Titans kind of lost their credibility for me when they made Sarcosuchus a literal pay-to-win class that you need to buy to pay to play. So, yeah, Deinosuchus. Can you be a dinosaur? If you buy the Isle, yeah, you can be a dinosaur. It's $20 on Steam. I would recommend buying it after the new update comes out because it's kind of buggy right now. The Legacy branch is totally broken, which is like the old version of the game, but the new version of Rima, it's still pretty buggy. They're probably gonna fix some of that when Deinosuchus comes out, but there's also probably gonna be some more bugs. But yeah, the player base will definitely go up. Oh, can you be a dinosaur in real life? If you're a furry, yeah, probably. I think dinosaurs are cool. They really are. And I think there's a significant, there's something that's really cool about dinosaurs, and that's the fact that they're like, kids like them so much, and that's probably the main reason that we know so much about them, is because children are fascinated with them. Like, I do not know a single person who didn't have some experience with a dinosaur when they were a child. If you ask someone what a synapsid is, which is a huge, hey, Jacqueline Zero, welcome to the stream. So if you ask a kid like what a synapsid is, or what a proto-mammal is, or what an entelodont is, they won't know. And those are like pretty large groups of animals. But if you ask a kid what a dinosaur is, they'll probably at least have some idea. And I think that's really cool. Because so many kids get into dinosaurs as children, we have like at least a few people who stay into adulthood, and those people are called paleontologists. I've gone over my paleontology theory before, and that's that most paleontologists are either chiseled and handsome, and the other ones are bone gnomes. I'm willing to prove this if need be, but I will refrain from continuing this argument. So, Spinosaurs, in case not everybody here knows, are big old fish-eating dinosaurs. They have sort of gavialid shaped skulls. So if you look at like a crocodile, which is going to be, that's a bad one. So if you look at like a crocodile, that's going to be preying on animals that are on land and then sort of stepping into the water. Let me increase that. There we go. Crocodiles are going to have skulls that are shaped like that. So they have like a relatively wide base and it sort of cones out like that. Alligators, which don't really prey on fish at all, are primarily going to use their skulls for biting into animals, have this sort of a U-shaped skull. And then Spinosaurs and gavialids, which are almost extinct, sadly. There's only one species, I think, of gharial left, and that's Gharialis gangicus, which is the Indian gharial. And they're almost dead. I think there's only 200 of them left in the wild. Along with other Spinosaurs, which they're not related, they just have similar shaped skulls, have skulls that are shaped like this, where they're very long and narrow, where they have their eyes up here and nostrils on the end here, because they're catching fish as opposed to biting down on like a struggling animal and dragging it into the water. And the reason for that is because when they bite down around a fish, their teeth are going to pierce into it like that, and they have a sort of like locking net of teeth. So instead of having like one contact point on that fish, or one contact point on an animal and like dragging it, they're biting around the fish and being able to hold onto it much more better than they would if they had like wider spaced teeth and wider jaws. Because of those like thin jaws, they're piercing the fish from two sides. I think that's a pretty competent Spinosaurus. I'm gonna do not Spinosaurus. It's Spinosaur. If it was a Spinosaurus, it would have a big sail on its back, but. I'm gonna do another one like in the water there. I do love dinosaurs. They're very cool. Alright, I think it's a good warm-up sketch. I'm very, very excited to get into what we have for today. In case anyone missed the introduction, I have a box of fossils sitting right next to me that are basically like discarded from museums, and I'm going to reach in and I'm going to reconstruct one of them. So without further ado, ladies, gents, and whatever else, the fossil box. Fossil ASMR. Alright. I think I'm actually going to mute my microphone because it's going to make a lot of noise me rummaging around through all these bones. So bear with me for a second. Okay, so we have the fossil, but I just realized that because of that notification, I forgot to mute my notifications, so I'm going to do that in a second. So stay tuned. I will switch to this layout while I explain to you what that fossil was. So what I just pulled out of the box is a fragment of a turtle shell, particularly a scute. And I think I know exactly what I want to do with this. And that is probably to reconstruct an ankylosaur, which is fantastic. So yeah, that's going to be really cool. Can everyone see better? Yeah, okay. So, oh, you know what? If I may, sort of photo. No, take a photo. Okay. There we go. If you can see my gross little hands there. Behind that fantastic backdrop of a Logitech speaker in the corner of my desk. I'm going to take these out of the bag. There's a little bit of dust on them, but that's okay. So I'm just going to show these to you guys. So these are fossil turtle shell scutes. So if you think... I'm not sure if these interlock. They might. No, they definitely don't. But these would go around the outside of a turtle shell. And yeah, so that's what we're going to be reconstructing today. So I'm going to use these as ankylosaur scutes. If you don't know what an ankylosaur is, big tank dinosaur. They're armored head to toe. Maybe nodosaur, actually. It's similar, but different. Yeah, these are really cool. I'm glad we pulled these. These are incredibly interesting. If I'm just gonna take a picture of one of those. So there is our fossil for today, and I'm incredibly excited to reconstruct it. Those are fossilized in granite. So the granite got all over my hands when I opened them up. Oh, now that I'm looking at them again, that's really cool. So there's like, those dots on them are little pores. They're the pores of like the skin, I guess, that was bound over the turtle shell. So there we go. All right, without further ado, we're gonna get right into reconstructing these. Firstly, just gonna clean everything up. So the great thing about this is that we don't really have to simulate damage on the fossil because it's already damaged. I don't need to find like a real bone and then mess around with select tools and stuff to pretend that it's been damaged, because it's already been damaged, because it's just a real fossil. Oh, oop. I'm going to do a little bit of a lazy select work today, but paste. There we go. Alright, so this is our turtle shell. It's not going to be a turtle shell for much longer because we're going to turn it into an ankylosaur skewed. So I'm just going to pull up my reference images over here. Do-ba-da-ba-ba. Yeah, so these look very similar to the sort of osteoderms that you find on ankylosaurs. So this is going to be perfect. For those of you just turning in, I noticed that I have 6 viewers now. We are reconstructing a fossil that I just pulled out of my fossil box. That's a turtle shell piece, and we're going to be reconstructing it like an ankylosaur. Yeah, okay. No, okay, so this is definitely like an ankylosaur. It's not a nodosaur. So this looks closest to the kind of thing you would probably find on an Edmontonia. So that's what we're going to go off of. So, no tail club, sadly, but actually, you know, we can probably throw a tail club in there. It is an inaccurate reconstruction. So, yeah. So ankylosaurs, I think what's really cool is that they actually had really stegosaurish heads, and I don't think a lot of people think about that because their heads were obviously very heavily armored and probably kind of wide and chunky, but Stegosaur heads are kind of what they had. They're a little bit bigger in proportion to the body, but yeah, so that's what we're going to be going off of. Gonna have like a spine that comes out there. Actually, 1 second. Let me cut, paste. There we go. So these guys are built really low to the ground. They're basically just walking tanks. And their skin was covered in these bony scutes, which I'm sure you've probably seen at least one image of an ankylosaur in your life. But their skin is covered in scutes like the one you see in the top left, which would basically just act as a giant coat of armor. So it's going to be a little bit tricky because it's so long and low. It's going to be pretty hard to get like a good composition out of it. So I think I might actually just go with a sort of profile as opposed to an interesting pose, because it's going to be really hard to fit this thing onto the page in a way that looks good. So I think this will end up being our base layer. So these were lizard hipped. Actually, no, they weren't. Sorry. They do have a bone, but it doesn't poke out in the same way that other dinosaurs do. And then tail club. So now it's time to start layering on like the muscles and fat. So these were beaked dinosaurs. They would have been grazing, eating grass, as grazing tends to mean. They were not browsers like sauropods. They were low to the ground. They would be primarily eating grass and ferns. They're found almost all over the world, actually, which I think is really cool. Ankylosaurs were there once in Asia. There were ones in North America. As I'm sure a few people know in chat, they would have gone toe-to-toe with the likes of Tyrannosaurus rex and Tarbosaurus in both of those areas. I say toe-to-toe, but they didn't really have great large toes, so more like foot stub to foot stub. Give them some pretty substantial back spikes. So that scute is not going to provide a great reference. And though it is similar to an Edmontonia scute, I do want to push this into new territory. So we're not going to stick to it too much. This is going to be a pretty free-form reconstruction. Sort of. anyone in chat have an interesting story to tell? I'm rather bored today, I must say. It's a bad day, it's just a boring one. Although bringing up the fossil box did help. I got to reminisce over my collection. This particular Velociraptor knucklebone set and claw I got from the California Academy of Sciences. This is several years ago when I first got it. Yeah. So, all these fossils are, I say they're very old. They're millions of years old. They've been in the earth for far longer than I've been born, but I've not. I got them a long time ago, most of them. The most recent fossil I have that I acquired it was in 2016. And it's a hadrosaur leg bone. So it's the, sort of, and also this is normally the part where that would go, would be the tail, where we start to get into these smaller, more flexible scutes, because they would need those to be smaller and more flexible, because they were swinging that thing. I'm on a new layer, right? Yeah, okay. Birds are very cool. They're quite fun animals. They're great to draw too. They got a lot of color to them. Whatever kind of head spikes I should put on this guy. I don't know. Edmontonia had some pretty large ones, but I feel like going with a sort of crown is not something that's been done before. Also, I really love doing these reconstructions because pretty much each one pushes me into a drawing area that I'm generally not really comfortable with. Right? I'll be maybe drawing something like this. I've not got a lot of experience drawing these, especially digitally, drawing individual scales. Also, a fun thing that I sort of just happened upon. So, behemoth. That's a word that I'm pretty sure a lot of people know. Behemoth is translated from a word mentioned in the Bible, which is Bahamut, which I am a native Hebrew speaker, so I can read Hebrew slightly proficiently. Not as much as I would like to. I don't get enough experience speaking the language. But Bahamut is the plural form of wild beasts. It's not a singular creature. So when you see behemoth translated into the English language and used as an analogy for a biblical creature, it's actually talking about plural wild animals, not a single one. Because Baham is one animal, and then Bahamut is the plural form. These streams are honestly making me so much better at digital art. Like, the pressure combined with the being forced to improvise and do all this stuff on the fly in front of an audience is really cool. That's another form of pressure, but I don't know, like, it can be healthy. I definitely don't do as much digital art as I'd like to on my own time, because I find myself gravitating to stuff that'll look better, in my opinion, which is just traditional art. But it's definitely a skill that I need, because getting better at digital art will maybe open up some art job opportunities. Not that I want to do that. I'll probably pursue a career in paleontology. Oh, sorry. Is my mic sensitivity too high? Actually, I'm going to turn that down a little bit. Yeah, wow, okay, it's rather sensitive, but I am, like, on the other side of my desk, so I'm sorry if you can... Yeah, if you guys can hear my computer fans, I'm sorry. I'll try and fix that some other time. I need to get, like, a background noise filter. I'm gonna buy a pop filter. I said that on the last stream. I looked them up. They're like $10, and they drastically improve your audio quality. So I will get one of those as soon as I can. But unfortunately, as soon as I can is after today. Yeah, like I said, I probably will pursue a career in paleontology. It's something that I have a great passion for, and it's like, I don't know. It's important to me in a way that not a lot of other job opportunities and just educational pursuits stand out as. I really do enjoy paleontology. This dude's pretty chunky, isn't he? Would you look at that? He's carrying some heft. You know what I might do, actually? Because I have all this space up here, I might, like, take the head off and do a little examination of it. I don't know. I'm open to ideas with what to do with that sort of negative space up there. I might write, like, a little blurb about the animal. So make sure to check out r/inaccurate fossils. All my stuff goes up there. Check out my YouTube channel. I'm still setting everything up. I will put my YouTube channel link in my Twitch bio. Yeah. And also, for those of you OG fans who watched my streams, like, in the early days, heck, for some of the OG, even, like, more OG Kaiju Kiri fans who watched me when I was exclusively on YouTube, and I wasn't even streaming live. Basically, anyone who was on my Twitch and or YouTube prior to when I did the Guilty Gear closed beta trial video. That was my first, like, stream-ish. It was a long form, not super edited, about 40-minute video. For anyone who's part of my thing before that, you'll know that I played a lot of Monster Hunter. Actually, I only played Monster Hunter. I did not do anything besides Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter videos were the only stuff that was on my channel. Because it's a damn good game. Then I started branching out and I did some Horizon Zero Dawn. But yeah, Monster Hunter is, I don't know, something about it speaks to me. Maybe it's the giant creatures. because I love a good giant monster. There's not a lot of stuff that can bring me joy like a giant monster. Speaking of giant monsters, Godzilla. Let's talk about that. New Godzilla's coming out soon. I think it's like 30 days or something that it's dropping on HBO Max. And I will probably watch that with my family. Some of my friends too. I've been watching the movies since I was a kid. Godzilla is one of the few things that I also have a passion for besides dinosaurs. Namely miniature painting, art in general. I really like. Gaming is something I definitely enjoy a lot, but not something I want to make a career out of. That's why I do mostly art on streams. But yeah. I don't know, I feel like a museum curator isn't exactly me. I feel like more of a professor kind of paleontologist. Because like those are a couple of the directions you can go. You can either be a professor for a university or you can curate at museums. I think it's so interesting how like out of pure chance this entire family of dinosaurs managed to evolve a giant bony club at the end of the tail. And it's probably like a cancerous kind of mutation, right? Because the way it looks in the fossils is really weird. It's funky. It's the same sort of thing that I think about when I see like rattlesnakes and their rattles. It's like, why would you have that? What evolutionary purpose would that rattle serve? Where does it like fit into the way that rattlesnakes survive? Like how did having like a shaky thing on the end of the tail evolve? And also, how did they like gain that behavior to be able to? Because obviously snakes like are pretty defensive animals. I'm not sure what I should do for this. Oh yeah, I also have a mosasaur tooth in here. Of course, it's from Florida. I just checked my thing. Oh, you know what lives in Florida that I could pull from for coloration? Obviously doesn't. It's not native to Florida. Actually, hold on. I was gonna say Burmese python, but indigo snakes are just so much cooler. And I do want to do a snake. I love snakes. They're great. Indigo snakes have this sort of like gradient on their face. And I imagine that something that's this big, like an ankylosaur like this, would not have to worry much about camouflage. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that this thing would probably be okay with having like bright colors on the front chunk of its body. Not like super bright, not like birds, but it's a big animal. So, and it's very heavily armed and well armored. So although hiding would probably be in some of its best interest, while the rest of its body is going to be like kind of dark. It's going to be a pretty brightly colored for an ankylosaur. I'm just going to alpha lock that real quick so I don't have to mess with anything. There we go. I know. Yeah, I'm not locked anymore. All right. Very cool. So yeah, indigo snakes have this sort of like iridescent pattern on their scales. Which I think is really cool. So yeah, this is probably the color that the rest of the body is going to be. But I'll throw in some shiny bits too, just to... Oh, I just realized I have no line art on the top of the tail. There we go. So this is really funny in my opinion, because we're drawing an ankylosaur from a turtle skeleton, or from a turtle shell, and coloring it like a snake. I'm not sure actually what turtles would have lived in Florida. I'm sure they would have been aquatic at the time that that was discovered, but not discovered at the time that that was alive, but not entirely sure. Let's actually take a quick journey and see what we can find. Alright, I got nothing. I'm not motivated enough to try and find what kind of turtle that shell piece was from. Because if the fossil people that I got it from didn't label it with the species, I probably don't have the time to dig that up. And also, a lot of that stuff is probably from dubious taxons as well, what's in that box. So it might not even be named. I only have a few named things in there. Probably my most prized fossil is a mosasaur tooth, I would say. I do have a pretty complete trilobite in there actually, but that's for another day. Chat is like kind of quiet, and it's making me a little bit uncomfortable, because like even with what 3 viewers on stream, there's still like normally conversations going on in chat. I don't know, it is like a vacation, so people might be doing homework and stuff. I have a philosophy to like not touch any work on the first day of a vacation. Never. I've not ever done homework on day one of a week or so off. Because it's one day and it improves your mental health so much just to like not do stuff, to just like sit for a whole day and do nothing, or at least some people do. But like do other things, like go talk to people, stream on Twitch, follow me on Twitch, watch me on Twitch, do all those fun things. Kidding, probably all the people here are followed already. But yeah, do the things that make you happy for like one day, and it'll make your life so much better. I think that's a pretty good scute color. Actually, no, I'm gonna do the scutes on the separate layer so I can texture them better. Put away that reference now, I don't do it anymore. Some Alien Isolation is on Steam sale. if you guys are on my Discord, you can definitely suggest games for me to play. I would be very happy. Because there's a Steam sale going on right now. I got some money. I can probably pick up a new game. Stuff I like to play is like, or at least stuff that I think would be entertaining is like single player stuff, particularly horror games. I think picking up Alien Isolation and then waiting till like around Halloween time to play it would be fun. Because, yeah, it's Halloween, it's horror time. You gotta love that. Classic Doom, maybe. Like Doom 64. That could be fun. Also, wow, I did not expect to get like a consistent 3 viewers on this stream. Like, oh my gosh. 3 viewers, like 3 average viewers was this thing that seems so intimidating to me. Because like I normally average around like 2.6 or so, which sounds really unimpressive, which that's because it is. But I don't know. Having like a steady floating 3 above my Twitch chat, it's magical. You know what else is magical? I was gonna do a segue into a game, but I don't know what to talk about. Got a biology project coming up, actually. Proto-mammals and such. I don't know, I'm actually looking to go on some digs. Oh, what is that? I'm actually looking to go on some paleontological digs sometime soon. Not very soon, like in a year maybe. Thinking of doing one with U Chicago. Because there's not a lot of qualification that goes into that. It's basically just money, but if it's not so like expensive, then I might try and do a dig with University of Chicago. If not, I'll try and find a cheaper one, but I do really want to go on a dig over the summer just to get that little bit of experience that I need, because that is absolutely something that I will be doing in the future, is going out. And the earlier I start doing that, the better. Sometimes I see people in chat who are like, oh, you're so good at art, your art's so much better than mine. No. Don't do that. Don't put yourself down if you see other people doing better than you. And I'm probably not even better than you. You just don't recognize your own goddamn talent. You get out there and you be artistic and you do what you love to do, which is probably art. Yeah. Someone who I've actually been watching recently is My Happy Self. I forget his like actual name, but he's on Twitch. He's a great streamer. He plays a lot of Red Dead, which I've heard is a good game. Probably not something I want to play on stream. But definitely something that I will enjoy to play. as Red Dead Redemption. What's my battery at? I might have to... Oh, yeah. Definitely have to plug my tablet in. But, yeah, Red Dead Redemption, especially the second one, something I would like to play. Sounds like a fun game. I kind of like the games that are super tedious like that. And that's a weird thing to say, but I like it when games make things inconvenient for me. Like Arma. How there's a significant chance that when you, like, click and your shot's perfectly lined up and, like, you did all the calculations and things, there's a huge chance that you're just gonna miss because of the absurd spread in that game. I've seen a lot of people, like, try to run and gun an Arma like they're playing CSGO. Or even, like, I've seen people using the rappel system in that game, like a wall running in Titanfall, and they always die because you can't do that in Arma because there's so much movement error that you are way too punished for moving and shooting at the same time. You just can't do that. I think vehicles should be incorporated more in FPS games. I think they're a hugely underused opportunity. Not necessarily even weaponized vehicles, just like vehicles for transportation. Like the Trident in Apex. Well, you can definitely weaponize the Trident if you put, like, gas and stuff on it. Like caustic gas and traps and things, but I feel like they should buff the Trident. That's a very unpopular opinion, but I don't know, I feel like they need to do something with it to make it better. I miss the early 2000s. Like, I don't know, something was so great about that time, you know? So carefree, so innocent. Back when you couldn't tell if things were real or fake on the internet. To be fair, there's probably some negative stuff to be said about that, but I don't know, I kind of liked that element of it. Especially early 2000s internet. Anybody here remember going to the Wildcrats website? I remember Wildcrats. I kind of miss them. I wonder if they're still doing stuff. What is the Wildcrats still running? Wildcrats Wikipedia. They had 151 episodes. Wait, it's still running. That's great. That makes me feel really good. Knowing that children are growing up in today's world with Wildcrats, that really makes me rather happy. Brings me immense joy that children will still be able to experience that. Because that was probably one of the things that gave me my passion for biology today. Those Wildcrats. It's eye time. Got a little flesh in there. Because this is a grazing animal, it might have had like wider pupils, I guess. So I feel like there are a lot of different types of people who do reconstructions. There's the kinds that do like the sort of encyclopedic stuff like this. Then there's the kinds who like make actual art out of it, which I really appreciate, which, I don't know. I do a lot of art, and I do a significant amount of reconstruction, but I've never really combined them. Let's merge those layers. I'm using Alpha Locks so much today. There you go. Oh, wait a minute, you can't use Alpha Lock with that. I wonder if there's people who watch my streams just to listen to my voice. That would be pretty flattering. I hope you come here for the biology content and not my sultry tones. Although, I don't mind it if you do. I've seen the stuff that happens to Corpse Husband on Twitter, though. I kind of feel bad for him, honestly. I know it's like not a very unpopular opinion, but Twitter is kind of a cesspool. I don't know why like social media platforms sort of have their own personalities. Like 4chan is the most obvious example of just people that are not exactly respectful of each other. But you have stuff like Reddit, where it seems like pretty normal at first, like a standard social media thing, but it's so pseudo-intellectual on there. Not necessarily pseudo-intellectual, but everyone likes to pretend that they're the most smartest person in the world. I think if you cannot acknowledge when you don't know things, then you are definitely not a very well, I wouldn't say not a smart person. You can definitely be a smart person and know a lot of things and refuse to acknowledge when your knowledge is like has a gap. But if you can acknowledge when you don't have knowledge and push through that and learn more, you'll definitely be better off than just pretending to be like smart and you know everything all the time. You laugh, you say, Curie, isn't that obvious? No, not on Reddit. And then Discord. Discord's got like all the Discord mod memes around it. And how much of that is like feeding into the stereotype and like making people not want to change? Because I feel like if we can make those... Also, Reddit is like surprisingly homophobic. Like obviously there's a lot of spaces on Reddit, like subreddits, where people are like based around supporting members of the LGBT community, but there's a lot of like just like if you post on one of the places that's not one of those boards, there is a lot of backlash. Whether it's people just saying like nobody cares, or it's like more mean stuff, like serious harassment. But anyway, back to dinosaurs. This is a nice one. I'm quite proud of this piece. Catch streams on YouTube, by the way. I'll link my YouTube channel and my Twitch bio when I remember to do that. Also, once again, I want to thank Boop Noodle just for, I don't know, being a member of my community. It's and also 2187 Alliance YouTuber who I appear in his videos sometimes, and I know he watches me on Twitch sometimes. And it's really cool to have like a little community of teeny tiny content creators, because let's be honest, calling ourselves small is a bit of an overstatement. We are minuscule, subatomic. We have followers in the double digits. 2187 is... Okay, Boop Noodle just hit Twitch affiliate, so he's going to start blowing up. He's got a pretty sizable Discord server. But 2187 and I, as well as Boop Noodle, are all very teeny tiny. And that's the stage when you need to keep motivating yourself, and you need to keep doing what you're doing, regardless of whether or not you have diminishing returns. Because eventually, that good stuff will come to you, and you'll be very happy that it does. Let's go for like a cool kind of blue color. So there we go. Let's get a name, shall we? Greek. I feel like naming this after a person is not. There's not a lot of people who are in chat today, so naming it after a person is probably not going to be super possible. Ooh, that's a mouthful of a name. I'm definitely using that one. Hold on. Let me just recenter everything on this page. Let's see if I can spell that correctly. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. See, I hate that it doesn't let you edit the font when you put it down. So now I'm going to select all that. Yeah, it doesn't let you select the font after you put it down. That makes me immensely sad. So I have Courier New italic. Sorry if you guys heard that Discord ping. Add text. And no, not felons. Salona. So, ladies and gents in chat, Yapostra Gaming Source, Salona. This will show up on r/NecroFossils, and my stream will be up on YouTube shortly. Thank you, everyone who tuned in, especially you 3 viewers in chat right now. Every view counts. Thanks for everyone who is in chat. I really appreciate you guys, and I will see you probably tomorrow, actually. Love you. Bye-bye.